How to grow from doing hard things. Let's start with a simple truth. Growth doesn't come from ease. It comes from friction, from choosing the hard path deliberately and staying with it long enough for your brain and body to adapt. When you do something difficult, whether it's waking up early to train, having a hard conversation, or stepping outside your comfort zone, you trigger a neurochemical response. Norepinephrine increases alertness, dopamine increases motivation, and acetylcholine sharpens your focus. This is your brain saying, pay attention, this matters. But here's where most people miss the opportunity. They stop when it gets uncomfortable. But discomfort is where the real neuroplasticity happens. If you can stay present in that discomfort, if you can breathe, reflect, and keep going, you literally reshape your brain. You're not just doing a hard thing. You're becoming someone who can do hard things. Fear is part of this process. It's not a flaw, it's feedback. It tells you something matters. And acting while you're afraid builds the internal scaffolding for resilience. The goal isn't to eliminate fear, it's to build the capability to move forward despite it. When you push through something difficult and reach the other side, your brain releases dopamine, not from scrolling, not from shortcuts, but from earned effort. This kind of dopamine is different. It doesn't fade as fast, it's more rewarding. It makes you want to keep pushing. It teaches your nervous system, I can work through pain, I can overcome, I'm capable. There's another benefit too. Each time you endure challenge, you train the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps you plan, stay calm, and make good decisions under stress. It's like lifting weights for your mind. With repetition, hard things get easier, not because they change, but because you do. And the most powerful insight? When you voluntarily expose yourself to controlled difficulty, you prepare your system for the involuntary challenges life throws at you. You reduce emotional reactivity. You recover faster. You build a deep inner calm that can't be faked or bought. It has to be earned. When you engage in something difficult, physically, mentally, or emotionally, you activate specific neurochemical systems that make your brain more receptive to change. One of the most important of these systems involves norepinephrine, a molecule that increases focus and alertness in the face of challenge. When you're under stress, your brain starts releasing norepinephrine to heighten your attention. This isn't just about survival, it's about plasticity. The more alert you are, the more likely your brain is to remember, rewire, and adapt. Pair that with dopamine, another key player. When you choose to push through something uncomfortable and succeed, dopamine gets released. This not only reinforces that behavior, but also motivates you to face the next challenge. Over time, your brain begins to link discomfort with reward, making you more likely to take on hard things in the future, not out of compulsion, but because it starts to feel intrinsically rewarding. The plasticity window, when your brain is most flexible and capable of forming new connections, isn't opened by relaxation. It's triggered by stress and novelty. That's why doing hard things is so important. They pull you out of autopilot and force your nervous system to recalibrate. It's in these moments of controlled discomfort where transformation happens at the cellular level. Your neurons fire in new patterns. Synaptic strength increases. You build new circuits, both literally and psychologically. This is why growth doesn't occur in the moments of comfort. It happens when you lean into challenge, when your brain is forced to focus, adapt, and upgrade. By choosing effort, you are telling your biology, this matters. Pay attention, learn, change. This is the foundation of true resilience and cognitive evolution. Experiencing stress is a universal part of life, but not everyone grows from it. The difference lies in what you do after the stressful event. It's not just the difficulty itself that leads to transformation. It's the process of reflecting on it that wires the growth into your brain. This is where true neuroplasticity takes root. When you revisit a challenging moment, your brain begins to make sense of it, consolidating the memory and reinforcing the pathways involved in handling similar situations in the future. From a neurological perspective, stress activates the limbic system, especially the amygdala, which processes emotion and threat. But it's the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and reflection, that must be engaged after the fact to create meaning. When you consciously analyze what happened, what you felt, and how you responded, you teach your brain to associate challenge with capability. You turn what was once a trigger into a training ground. Reflection allows you to extract valuable data from the experience. You begin to see patterns, how you responded under pressure, what helped you cope, and what caused you to falter. This analysis isn't just intellectual, it's biological. It strengthens synaptic pathways associated with resilience, decision-making, and emotional regulation. The combination of stress and reflection is what transforms adversity into adaptation. It's the difference between burnout and breakthrough. Stress alone can wear you down, but when paired with intentional review, through journaling, mindfulness, or structured thought, you unlock the deeper benefits of the experience. This process creates a feedback loop. You go through something hard, reflect on it, grow stronger, and are better prepared for the next challenge. Over time, your brain learns not just to survive stress, but to use it as a catalyst for continuous evolution. Fear is a deeply wired biological response designed to protect us from threats. When you feel fear, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, fires rapidly, triggering a cascade of physiological reactions. Your heart rate spikes, breathing accelerates, muscles tense. This response is useful in real danger, but in modern life, fear often appears in situations where there's no real physical threat, like public speaking, starting a new project, or making a difficult decision. In those cases, fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal that you're standing at the edge of growth. When you choose to take action while feeling fear, something powerful happens in the brain. The prefrontal cortex, the center of planning, logic, and executive function, begins to override the amygdala's reactive impulses. This isn't about shutting fear down, it's about working with it. Each time you face fear and move forward anyway, you strengthen the neural circuits that govern courage, discipline, and focus. This is how emotional resilience is built, not by avoiding fear, but by leaning into it in manageable doses. It's like lifting a mental weight. At first, it's heavy and uncomfortable, but with repetition, your brain adapts. You get better at staying calm under pressure, better at taking action despite uncertainty, and better at making choices that align with your goals, not your fears. Acting through fear also rewires your internal narrative. Instead of "I'm scared so I can't," it becomes "I'm scared but I can." That shift in identity reinforces itself over time, creating a new mental blueprint, one based on capability rather than avoidance. Fear isn't a weakness, it's a natural response. And when you train yourself to respond with forward action, you turn fear from a limiting factor into a powerful tool for transformation. Dopamine is often misunderstood as just the pleasure chemical, but in reality, it's the molecule of motivation, drive, and pursuit. When you engage in hard work, especially the kind that requires sustained effort and discipline, your brain begins to associate dopamine not with the end result, but with the process itself. This is what creates what scientists call dopaminergic resilience, the ability to stay motivated without external rewards. When you choose to do something hard, like sticking to a training schedule, fasting, studying intensely, or pushing through creative blocks, you are training your dopamine system to fire in response to effort. This builds what can be called dopamine discipline. Over time, your brain shifts from needing instant gratification to finding satisfaction in progress, consistency, and self-generated momentum. This is incredibly powerful because it changes how you experience challenge. Rather than avoiding difficulty or chasing quick hits of pleasure, your nervous system begins to crave the deeper, more sustainable dopamine that comes from earned achievement. It's not the same as the spike you get from scrolling your phone or eating sugar. It's steadier, longer lasting, and far more satisfying. From a biological perspective, the more your dopamine system is conditioned to reward effort over outcome, the more control you gain over your habits and behaviors. You become less dependent on external validation and more grounded in internal drive. This autonomy over your reward system gives you an edge. It makes you more focused, more persistent, and more immune to distraction. The brain is always learning what to value. By consistently doing hard things, you teach it to value the process itself. And once your dopamine is aligned with effort, your capacity for growth, discipline, and long-term success increases dramatically. You become the kind of person who thrives in challenge, not by accident, but by design. When you voluntarily engage in difficult tasks, especially ones that require sustained focus and delayed gratification, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center for higher-order thinking. This region is responsible for executive functions like planning, impulse control, decision-making, and emotional regulation. The more you use it, the stronger and more efficient it becomes. Doing hard things like pushing through fatigue in a workout, resisting the urge to procrastinate, or staying composed in a tense situation demands cognitive control. Each time you resist the urge to quit or react impulsively, you are literally strengthening the neural circuits in the prefrontal cortex. It's like a mental workout. With each repetition, your brain becomes better at handling pressure, staying on task, and filtering distractions. Neuroscience shows that effortful activity creates what's known as top-down regulation, where the prefrontal cortex overrides more primitive brain systems like the limbic system, which governs emotion and reactivity. Over time, this leads to a calmer mind, more deliberate actions, and better long-term thinking. It also increases your tolerance for complexity, which is essential for navigating difficult life decisions and solving meaningful problems. Another powerful effect of engaging the prefrontal cortex during challenge is that it improves your ability to pause and reflect before reacting. This creates space between stimulus and response where growth lives. It allows you to choose your actions rather than be driven by habit or emotion. The ability to perform under pressure is not purely a trait, it's a trained skill rooted in neural adaptation. The more you stretch the limits of your focus and self-control through hard experiences, the more capable and composed you become. Over time, you build a mind that doesn't fold under pressure but functions best because of it. That's the true strength forged through challenge. When you voluntarily choose to do hard things, whether it's physical training, mental discipline, or emotional confrontation, you are effectively preparing your body and brain for future uncontrollable stress. This concept, often referred to as stress inoculation, is backed by neuroscience and psychology. Just like vaccines expose your immune system to a controlled dose of a pathogen to build resistance, exposing yourself to manageable doses of difficulty builds your mental and physiological resilience over time. Voluntary challenge activates the same biological stress systems that real-world adversity does: the release of cortisol, the increase in heart rate, the firing of the sympathetic nervous system. But because you chose it, your brain processes it differently. It doesn't interpret the situation as threatening. It sees it as training. As a result, your nervous system becomes better at regulating itself during future stressful events. This training effect is cumulative. Each time you lean into discomfort, whether it's sitting in cold water, giving a tough presentation, or resisting an unhealthy habit, you're building a library of adaptive responses. You start to notice patterns. Your breath stabilizes quicker, your thoughts remain clearer, and your reactions are more controlled. The system becomes more efficient. Eventually, this practice shifts your baseline. Stress no longer overwhelms you the way it once did. The same challenges that would have caused panic or paralysis now feel manageable. This isn't about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming equipped. Voluntary struggle teaches you that you can stay calm in chaos, find clarity in confusion, and act with purpose under pressure. In a world that's unpredictable and often stressful, the ability to self-regulate is a superpower, and the only way to build it is by doing hard things, not occasionally, but consistently and intentionally. The discomfort you embrace today becomes the strength you carry into every future challenge. Growth isn't something that happens by accident. It's the direct result of engaging with discomfort, not avoiding it. When you deliberately choose to do hard things, physically, mentally, or emotionally, you're not just building discipline or grit in a surface-level way. You're rewiring your brain. You're activating the exact neural pathways responsible for focus, motivation, emotional regulation, and decision-making under stress. You're training your nervous system to perform when it matters most. The challenges you face, especially the ones you choose willingly, become opportunities for transformation. Every time you lean into fear instead of backing away, every time you choose effort over ease, your brain and body adapt. Your dopamine system learns to find reward in the process. Your prefrontal cortex strengthens, giving you more control over your thoughts and behaviors. And most importantly, your resilience grows, not just emotionally, but neurologically. This isn't just about becoming tougher. It's about becoming more capable, more adaptable, more aligned with the person you're meant to be. The path is simple but not easy. Seek discomfort in controlled, intentional ways. Reflect on what you learn. Let each experience build on the last. That's how you hardwire growth. And when life throws unexpected challenges your way, as it always will, you'll find yourself ready. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. The daily practice of doing hard things prepares you for the unpredictable, builds true confidence, and rewrites your inner narrative from one of limitation to one of capability. In the end, growth is earned, not given. And everything you want, clarity, purpose, strength, resilience, lives on the other side of effort. The choice is yours. Lean into the hard. Your future self is already waiting on the other side. So if you want to grow, start here. Do hard things, consistently, willingly. And when it gets tough, remember, you are not breaking down. You are breaking through. Your brain is adapting. Your mind is evolving. You are becoming more stronger, smarter, more disciplined. Because everything you want lives just beyond hard. And the only way to reach it is to go through it. Thank you